Joining us now on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Our guy, Aaron Nagler from Cheesehead TV. What's up, Nag? Good to see you.
Morning, boys. How we doing?
Oh, we're
What's
doing
going on, Nags?
Couple 2-3 questions about this whole defensive coordinator position situation.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
This happened. Do you love it?
I do, man. Let's go. Who's to say the Packers can't upgrade? Let's keep building. Let's keep working towards the championship. I'm in.
Are we talking about Hafley or LaFleur? I missed. You might have switched topics on me.
Well, you're talking about finding a defensive coordinator. I'm talking about improving on the defensive side of the ball. Let's go. Come on now.
Maybe a little upgrade ahead. Anyway, so there's a candidate or two.
Faith, all right. Well, we're not even a minute in, and I'm already ready to take a swipe.
I know, and this is crazy seeing someone be more optimistic than Trevor on this show. That's usually his hat.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to optimism world. That's where I live anyway. There's a lot of candidates. Nags, you put out a great video yesterday on Cheesehead TV's social media pages and the website, and you listed 7: DeMarcus Covington, Derek Ansley, Christian Parker, Jim Leonard, Jonathan Gannon, Raheem Morris, and then you threw out a pie-in-the-sky Brian Flores.
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Let me dream a little bit.
If
you had to pick one that you think is going to be the next defensive coordinator for the Packers, who's it going to be?
Wow. Just one, if I think the most likely possible scenario, probably Christian Parker from the Eagles. He's a guy who I know it's already been reported that they're going to interview for sure. I don't doubt they'll cast a wide net, but I think Parker is a young up-and-coming guy who has paid his dues, so to speak. He was on Pettin's staff years ago in Green Bay before going to Denver, working with Vance Joseph there, and he is really credited with a lot of the improvements in the secondary in Philadelphia, especially with a lot of their young corners that they took in the draft a couple years ago. Everyone you talk to around the league talks about how this kid is special, and he's excellent defensive mind, etc. The one kind of caveat or maybe pause that you might take is if Matt LaFleur is thinking about, okay, we're switching defensive coordinators again, we're maybe hopefully keeping the same system. Does he think Parker can come in and run what Hafley has laid down as far as the foundation of the defense? Or would he expect him to come in and possibly even go back to what they were running under Joe Barry? Now, I know that probably sends shivers down the spine of Packers fans everywhere, but the system is a good one, and it's certainly what the Eagles have been utilizing for the last 3-4 years, and to great effect, right? So that's the one area where I would think that's kind of the biggest question for me on the outside looking in. But I think Parker's a great coach. Like I said, everywhere he's gone, he's had success, and he seems to be one of the really hot, young, up-and-coming coaches in the league.
Next, I wanted to ask you, leading up to Jeff Hafley taking the job in Miami, all we heard was that every single team that had an opening was, scheduling him for an interview. They all wanted him. We knew he was going to do well in the interview, get a job somewhere. There was no conversation, really, when we were talking about the rumor mill of if the Packers were going to keep Matt LaFleur, of Jeff Hafley taking the head coaching job in Green Bay. What was the difference there between that sentiment in Green Bay of him taking the job and the open market of everyone
else wanting him, right?
Right.
I think it's just down to Ed Policy having faith in the trio that's in-house already, in Matt LaFleur, Brian Gutekunst, and Russ Ball. I know from a couple of different reports that the decision was made the day after the game. On Sunday, Ed Policy was talking to Matt LaFleur about how he was going to extend him. So I don't think there was ever anything in Policy's mind about making a switch there or having Hafley as a candidate for the job, so to speak, because he has complete faith, as is evidenced by the fact that now he has signed Matt LaFleur to a contract extension and is working on extensions for Gutekunst and Russ Ball. I don't think that was ever anything kind of close to a consideration for Ed Policy. Not to say that, Hafley's not a good coach or won't do well elsewhere, but I think in Policy's mind, he already had his coach.
Aaron Nagler, Cheesehead TV, joining us on Inside Wisconsin Sports. Nags, you brought up a name from the past, Joe Barry.
Oh, Lord.
We found some audio from Matt LaFleur on Bussin' with the Boys. This is interesting in regard to Raheem Morris and why it was so hard for Matt LaFleur to let Joe Barry go.
You form a bond with somebody, and then at some point that comes to an end for all players and for me, when I have to let go of coaches, that guys that have poured everything into it, and for whatever reason it doesn't work out, and that it's always the danger of hiring people that are close to you as well. I mean, this well known. I let Joe Barry go, who's a very dear friend of mine, and that was like one of the toughest conversations I've ever had with somebody.
So that's why I don't think Raheem Morris is going to be the next defensive coordinator. Tim and Matt are very close.
Yes, right.
You think that how much do you think that plays into all this?
I think it's certainly in the back of your mind if you're the coach, but also I think if LaFleur has an interview with Raheem, and there hasn't been any reporting yet that I've seen that he's a possible candidate, but you got to suspect it's at least going to be talked about. You're doing the best thing for the team, right? And LaFleur has talked about this over and over again. Like, yeah, tough decisions are just that. They're very tough. But if he thinks Raheem Morris can come in and help this defense become a top unit in the league and help them win a championship, I don't think he balks at the possibility, I may have to one day have this tough conversation with a guy I really, respect, admire, am a friend with, etc. I just don't see that being in LaFleur's DNA. Now, you can call it a weakness or you can call it a strength, however you view it. I do think that's how LaFleur operates. Like, it's what's best for the team. And if he does have to make that tough decision down the road, then that's something that's a bridge he'll cross when he comes to it. But I don't think he's going to make him gun shy in the interview process. You know what I mean?
Do you think that, obviously the multi-year extension, Nags, for Matt LaFleur, do you think that there is a bar, though, and where is that bar, that if the Packers fall beneath it
right
in the upcoming season, policy still goes, all right, this was a mistake and we got to move on? I mean, it's got to be somewhere, right? Even if it could be as low as 3 wins or something crazy, but
right.
Where do you think that bar is for the Packers and their expectations coming into next year?
I think it would take something catastrophic for anything to change within a year. You know what I mean? I think this is, you said it, it's a multi-year extension. Now, of course, we don't know on the outside what that entails as far as how many years, what exactly the extension is, commitment-wise. But I would suspect it would take like something. Matt LaFleur is embezzling funds from the Green Bay Packers for him to get fired. Like the results on the football field are one thing, but it would take something like really egregious for policy to rip up this contract. Now, don't get it twisted. Whatever, I would suspect this is around a 3-year extension, right? That's just a guess. But that would be my guess because of the fact that you opened this window when you made the trade for Micah Parsons, right? And it certainly feels like Ed Policy is banking on continuity here. Matt LaFleur has done a phenomenal job with Jordan Love, and that is the key in the NFL. You have to have a quarterback. You have to have a good quarterback. The Packers certainly do, and a big part of that, the development of that quarterback, is down to the work that Matt and his offensive staff have done. Now, you need a lot more than just that to win a championship, but that is the key piece. And over the course of the next kind of 2 years is their window. Once they made that trade for Micah Parsons and they gave Parsons the contract they gave him, it's very clear that it was, okay, we have 3 years to win a title. Now, this year, they were on their way to at least contending for it before things fell apart due to injury, right? I don't think that's not telling tales out of school. I think it's very clear that, okay, you've got at least 2 years to win a championship or at least be in contention for a championship seriously. And then I think there's going to be another conversation after the 2027 season. It would be that's again, just a guess.
Aaron Nagler, Cheesehead TV on Inside Wisconsin Sports. You reported yesterday, Nags, that per a source, Matt LaFleur never offered Jim Leonard the defensive coordinator job.
That's true.
Are they going to?
I've been told that very, very, very adamantly. Never happened.
So how about now? Yes, no, or maybe?
I think it's a maybe. I'd be fascinated to see if LaFleur goes down that road. I know, look, there's a lot of people in the state of Wisconsin that would love this development. I've never sensed, though, that that's a real possibility, that that's an actual kind of avenue that LaFleur would go down. But that doesn't mean, look, I keep saying this to people as well. I don't know about you guys, but I do not remember a single report, a rumor, anything about Jeff Hafley coming to Green Bay prior to, I think it was Pete Thamel from Sports Illustrated who dropped, the Packers are hiring Jeff Hafley. Had never heard a morsel of information about it until it happened. which tells you that's how the Packers like to operate, right? So we're going to throw a lot of names out there over the course of the next week or so, and they may just go and hire someone we have not had on our radar at all. It would not surprise me whatsoever.
You put out that list of 7 guys. They're going with the 8th, by the way.
100%. 100%. Well, dude, it's just the Packers way. Remember when we all woke up on a Saturday morning and Julius Peppers was standing on Lambeau
I was
Field
just gonna say
and
that.
they had just signed him and everyone, what? Like, it's how they prefer to operate.
How they sneak that guy into Lambeau Field? Like
literally into Lambeau Field in the world of social media. Not one person saw him at Austin Straubel, or I guess he maybe drove up from Chicago. Like, no one saw him? Really? Crazy.
Next, also after the news comes out about Matt LaFleur getting extended, the follow-up reports are saying that the structure is going to stay in place of who's reporting to who. We also thought that might be a negotiating factor, something that was going to change. We had heard that, and then that also ends up staying exactly the same. Your thoughts on it staying the same and how that could affect things going forward as well?
I think it would have been real tough to make the switch midstream, so to speak, with the people in place. And I know Domofsky at least has reported about how policy does like the people, the way they operate together, the way they communicate, etc. I think it'd be a real tough sell, though, if you are, okay, I have faith in you, Matt LaFleur, as you report to me, but now you're going to report to Brian. Like, that probably would be maybe not a tough sell because, you are the boss and you can say whatever you want, make it whatever you want. But I do think that policy appreciates the way they work together and saw no reason really to shake it up. Now, I always will kind of feel for Brian on this one because, I mean, the man did interview for the job that Ted, Ron back in the day that they had as head of football. That is the interview he had with Mark Murphy. And then Murphy calls him while he's at dinner down in Houston for the Texans job, having like an interview process down there, exits that dinner and then comes, I've got the Green Bay job, and doesn't find out that it's not the job he interviewed for until he gets back up to Green Bay. I don't begrudge policy. I understand it, but I always do wonder if Brian maybe has a hint of regret in the sense that he interviewed for one job, but he's been given and is operating under a very different one.
Nags, what's the best way to in that scenario?
I'm a traditionalist. I understand why they went the route they did back in the early 90s when Bob Harlan gave Ron Wolf total control over football. I think it's the best way to go. I think it's certainly the best way in Green Bay, Wisconsin, with the Packers franchise. Cliff Crystal has written about this over and over again, the Packers historian who covered the Packers for a very long time on the beat. The Packers are always strongest when there is a distinct wall between the business side and the football side. I think Mark Murphy made the decision and the change that he did in large part because of things that eroded within the football side of things, because of Ted Thompson's deteriorating health. I don't fault him for that. I totally get it. We've seen now policy make his first big decision to keep that in place. We'll see over time how it plays out, if it turns out to be the correct call. And that's, ultimately all that matters is if they win a championship, then it was the right call. It's certainly understandable given kind of where they are in the flow of history of the Green Bay Packers. But I would love it if they eventually went back to, there's one guy in charge of football and he reports to the president and CEO. I think that's the best for the franchise.
Yeah, it's a great point you made, though. That is kind of awkward when that it hasn't been the case. We were on the tough level playing field, and
that would be
now you're going to report to me.
Yeah,
that's kind of awkward. Didn't think about that.
It'd be a little tough. It'd be like if suddenly I had to ask Corey Banke permission to do stuff at Cheesehead TV. I don't know. I might have to go do something else.
It might be out.
Nags, what's your favorite part about doing Cheesehead TV the way you guys have, from building it from nothing to where you guys are at today?
You know what? Honestly, it's the way now, especially heading next year will be year 18. The way every time we do some kind of event in public, we hear from more and more folks who have made it somewhat of a family affair, almost a generational thing, where, I mean, we can't have a meetup or an event where people don't, we listen to you every day as a family. Like, that is wild to me. And then coupled with when we've gone to Brazil or London and heard from people literally all over the world who utilize Cheesehead TV to connect to the Green Bay Packers, It's pretty wild for a kid who grew up in Appleton, just obsessed with the Packers. And now I meet so many people and hear from so many people who kind of feel that Cheesehead TV is their gateway or connection to the franchise and the team that I love so much. That's a little surreal. And I do not take it for granted in any way, shape, or form.
Also the merch.
The merch is great.
Cheesehead TV merch.
Come on now. Love the merch.
I love the
Make
merch.
sure you check out the merch. Good stuff.
Aaron Nagler, Cheesehead TV, Inside Wisconsin Sports. Nags, thanks for jumping on. Don't be a stranger. And listen, I told you this specifically, and I know that I told Corey too. When we were dreaming up Inside Wisconsin, I took a picture of you and Corey in my den on the big TV doing the watch party. And I had the Packer game on my laptop. And I literally inspired by you guys to go, there's something to this whole let's connect with Wisconsin thing. And that led to this. And I just wanted to say thanks, man. I appreciate what you guys do.
I appreciate that, man. I question your placement there. I think the Packers should be on the big screen, but
do you remember that picture?
I do. And I think you have problems and you should seek help. But I very much appreciate it.
No idea.
Thank you so much.
Aaron Nagler, Cheesehead TV, buddy. We appreciate you. We'll talk to you soon.
Good to talk.
Good morning. Thanks, guys. Go Pack, go.